For openers with the Flood-X, you must have a ball valve. Now this is a ball valve. 90 degrees it opens and closes fully, either open or close, 90 degrees. Here's a gate valve, and it takes 4 or 5 times to open or close it. It will not work with this product. When you have a ball valve like this, we want this plastic. It's just a piece of plastic, a sheathing if you will on that handle. Cut that off. It lets the unit operate more efficiently. We're going to begin by installing the upper unit, and we're using a little 2.5 gallon electric water heater just because it's easier to handle and easier to work with the video. First thing you do is open the valve a time or so and be sure the valve is operative. Then you leave it closed, and then there's a gap here between this wire drive, if you will, and the edge of this window. What we want to do is insert that handle in that gap. So there we are, we're in the gap. Now then, we're going to install clamps on each end. Everything you need to put this device, install this device is included in the package. These clamps are plenty deep. If it ends up on a nut, it'll still clamp down on it. Now it's beginning to get snug. We want to stop at this point. This nut is the center of this upper unit. This valve is the center, or this handle is the center of this valve. We like to kind of line these up so it's centered on that valve. Also, move this to where it's level, hold it there just a minute, and snug it down. So you're centered on the valve and you're level with the whorls. Okay, let's review our installation of our top unit. Number one, we cut the sheathing off of that valve. We've opened the valve, left it open. We've lined this nut to where it's lined up with it, but also we need, if the valve is not totally level itself, then you need to level this with the valve, so it won't be off too much. This valve's pretty, you can see this handle is level, so we're in good shape. Then just tighten it down. Okay, we're now ready to transfer the energy, which is in a very powerful torsion spring, to the valve itself. And the way we do that, take our cheater pipe, come around and move this valve handle towards the open position, and then remove this tie wrap. Now then, the energy, as you can see, that energy is now in that valve handle. But let me also caution you, you can leave this tie wrap on here, it doesn't hurt a thing, or you can cut it. But do not cut this tie wrap until you have transferred that energy. It's trouble if you cut this too early. Just pay attention to the sequence on that tie wrap. So, here we are. Now it's time to put the lower unit on. And the way we do that is, it goes on with a piece of Velcro. This one was on a while ago, so half of it is still attached to the water heater. When you put this on, you go all the way to the floor or the bottom of the pan, and then scoot straight in, and that ensures that you're at the bottom, so any water on the floor or in the pan will be sensed by this unit. We need to connect the lower unit and the upper unit, and the way you do that, bring this, we call this a tripper bar, bring this tripper bar up until it hits this screw. That's just a good guide. At that time, pull the slack out of this cord. It doesn't have to be extremely tight, but just pull the slack out. And then wrap it in these notches about 4 times. and the lower unit is now connected to the upper unit. So at that point, we are going to load the unit. Okay, we're there, we're loaded, we're down here, everything's ready. Let's actually trip the unit with water and show you how it works. We're going to put 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch of water, and this will be this is just taking the place of a pan, and this will trip in about 30 seconds or something like that with 1/8 of an inch of water. And let me just mention, if you don't have a pan, but you have a solid floor, if you get a good film of water on that floor, it'll trip this unit, so you do not have to have a pan. Now, if the floor is such to where it runs off, or you're up on a platform and it's got a wood where it can leak through and it can't get water, it won't work. But there's many water heaters out there without pans that this will trip on. Okay, let's introduce a little water here. That's good. You'll see what happens here in just a minute. This will snap down, and when it does, it snaps this down. It's 2 mouse traps, and it closes that ball valve off, and the water heater is shut off. The water flies. There it went. Water is no longer entering this water heater. To change out a cartridge, let's say you had a false trip or an actual trip. To change out a cartridge, it's this simple. Put a new cartridge in. And you're in business. It's that simple. An extra cartridge does come with the product when you receive it. Okay, that takes care of that. That takes care of the electric. We did the top, the lower, the connecting, we tripped it. You're in business. Now let's look at a gas. Or shut the water off of a gas water heater, and we shut the gas off when we shut the water off. Let's look at that. Okay, what I want to show you now is what turns the gas off of this gas unit. As you know, gas units have a thermocouple. The thermocouple provides the millivolts to open up the gas valve or to keep it open. Water enters this lower unit. It then allows this to come down, just as we did right there. See this switch right here? When we trip and we pull the top valve, we also open this switch right here. But what that does, it's connected to a thermocouple interrupter. And it interrupts that thermocouple circuit, and as long as this circuit right here is open, the heater cannot be lit. And that's the way it should be, because you don't have water coming into this unit. So we've undone the thermocouple, and then we insert this thermocouple interrupter. Careful not to cross thread. We run that up, and it has to be tight. Then we reinsert the thermocouple wire. Now both of these joints, as you know, they have to be put back tight because it's millivolts, and it won't work if that's not tight. At that point, we've got our interrupter in. We take our lower unit, attach it to the water heater, we'll take this up to the top just like we did on the little heater a while ago, and when that trips, it's going to come down, it's going to snap, it's going to open this switch right here, and then we have these two connectors that push up on this interrupter right here, and you have to really mash to get them on there, and that's the way it should be. You don't want a bad connector there. So when this trips, It cuts off the millivolts to the gas valve, it opens it up. It cannot be lit until this cartridge is replaced and this unit is reset. So it's really kind of a fail-safe way to shut the gas off when you don't have water coming into the unit. We've also included a plastic sleeve which has pertinent information about FloodX. It has a complete installation instruction booklet. It has an extra cartridge should you need one. It also has 2 push pins. It's our recommendation that you put this on the wall in your water heater closet, use the push pins, attach it to the wall, and then several years from now, should you have a question, a need for a cartridge or whatever, you've got all the information you need right there available.